She was halfway through tying her boots when the room went quiet. At first, it felt like a draft had passed through the barracks, cold, invisible, and cutting. Then came the whispers. A group of junior officers near the lockers paused mid-laugh. Eyes narrowed at her. One of them scoffed, loud enough to carry. Who let the mascot into uniform? She didn't flinch, didn't look up, didn't give them the satisfaction. Staff Sergeant Elena Cruz had heard it before. Too short, too soft-spoken, too many scars. But today wasn't about them. Today was about the ink beneath the collar of her fatigues, the mark they hadn't yet seen. At 38, Elena looked nothing like the caricature they expected from a decorated combat engineer. Her dark hair was pulled tight into a bun, her face calm, unreadable. The lines around her eyes hinted at grief that ran deeper than discipline. But to them, she was just another checkbox, another diversity push. What they didn't know was that she had buried more brothers in arms than most of them had deployed with. That tattoo, the one just visible when the sunlight hit her neckline, it wasn't for decoration. It was for remembrance. A single pair of boot prints, inked in black, above a name written in old military script, D. Ramirez. Her brother. She had held his hand as he bled out in Kandahar, heard his final breath, felt the earth tremble beneath mortar fire. And when the dust settled, she picked up his gear, wiped her tears on her sleeve, and walked back into the line of fire. Promotions followed. Medals, too. But she never talked about them. She didn't need to. They weren't for her. This morning was supposed to be simple. A base-wide inspection. Just formation, presence, and protocol. But even simplicity turns cruel when prejudice walks in uniform. The inspecting officer, Lieutenant Colonel Hensley, moved down the line, barking orders, nodding approval, until he reached her. He paused. His eyes scanned her chest. Not for ribbons, not for rank. They lingered at the collar, at the faint trace of ink peeking from beneath the fabric. He raised an eyebrow. "What's this?" he asked, tone sharp. "Tattoos now part of standard issue." The group behind him snickered. Someone muttered, "Probably got it on a dare." Elena remained silent. She didn't explain that regulation permitted tattoos above the collarbone if they were memorial in nature. She didn't defend her brother. She didn't defend herself. She simply unfastened the top button of her uniform and pulled the fabric gently aside. The room fell completely still. There it was, boot prints. A date, a name, below it, etched in quiet defiance. He walked first, so I could come home. The air changed. Colonel Hensley's expression stiffened. His hands dropped to his sides. For a moment, he stood motionless, eyes locked on the ink, the message, the meaning. Then something shifted in his stance that he stepped back, straightened his posture, and with deliberate, reverent precision, he brought his hand to his temple and saluted. No words. No commands. Just silence. That it rippled. One by one, the junior officers around her stood taller. The smirks vanished. Shoes clicked together. A domino of stiffened backs and humbled eyes. The tension broke not with an order, but with a reckoning. Elena nodded once, then buttoned her collar. She never spoke a single word, but her silence roared louder than their doubt ever had. Later that day, an email circulated base-wide. Subject line, recognition of honor. It featured a photo of her tattoo, with a single quote beneath it. Some wear their rank on their chest. Others carry it in their blood. By sunset, no one called her a joke. Not because they were told to stop, but because they finally understood who they were standing next to. She didn't ask for respect. She earned it, one silent breath, one inked step at a time. If this story moved you, take a moment to comment where you're watching from. Subscribe for more true stories that honor the silent strength behind every uniform. And always remember, sometimes the loudest acts of courage are never spoken.